Hello friends, welcome to my video. Today I am going to talk about built-in generic type delegates. In my previous video, I explained about delegates, what it is and how we can implement in a program. We also discussed how we can use delegates with named methods, anonymous methods and Lambda expression. If you haven't seen that video yet, I request you to watch first that video and then come to this video in order to understand it better. The link of that video you will find somewhere at upper right corner and I will also mention it in the description section of this video. However, I will brief about the delegates and then proceed further with today's topic. Before we get started, just a quick reminder to subscribe my channel, hit the red button and don't forget to click on the little bell icon. That way you will be notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, without any further delay, let's get started. Func Delegate. Before starting the Func Delegate, let's just recap first about the delegate. Delegate is a reference type that is derived from the system.delegate, and its instances can be used to call a method with matching signature. It is also called a type-safe function pointer. As we saw in last video, there are three steps for implementing delegates in C#. First, define the delegate signature same like method signature. Second, we need to instantiate the delegate and assign the actual methods to it. And finally, we need to invoke the method through the delegate instance. So if we are going to create our own custom delegate, we need to follow these three steps for implementing in C#. Let's see now what is Func Delegate. Func Delegate in C#. Func Delegate is a built-in generic type delegate that makes our delegate code simpler. It can have 0 or up to 16 input parameters and one out parameter. The last parameter is treated as an out parameter. If you see the syntax over here, func t result, what does it mean? It means this func delegate is not going to have any input parameter, but it has one out parameter which is of t result type, right? In the second statement, func t1 t result, what does it mean? It means it has one input parameter t1 and one out parameter which is nothing but t result. Similarly, for the third statement, it has two input parameters t1 and t2 and returns t result output parameter, right? And so on. So this func is having 17 different forms. So as per the requirement, we could opt one of these func delegate form and use it, right? Okay, let's understand it with the help of example. Here there is a method named add that accepts two input parameters int x, int y, perform the add operations and returns the result of int data type, right? Now we define this func delegate that accepts two input parameters int and one return parameter which is also type of int only. Okay, and we gave this instance name of this func delegate as a func and then assign add method to it. Okay, in the next statement I'm just going to call this add method via this func instance. So func, and we are passing parameter 1 and 2. So that it is going to call this add method eventually and perform this addition operation x plus y and returns the result. That result we are just going to store into this result variable, and we have just printed this result into the console window, and that's what we are able to see this output. Addition of two numbers is equal to 3, right? Okay, func delegate with anonymous method. Just now we have seen how to use func delegate with named method, right? So here we are going to focus on how we can use func delegate with anonymous method. Okay, let's understand with the help of example. Okay, let's suppose there is a class program, right, that has one method main method. In main method we have defined two func delegate, func square and func add. Func square is going to accept only one input parameter, whereas func add is going to accept two parameters of int data type, right? So I have assigned this anonymous method to it. For func square I have assigned delegate int x that will return that multiplication of this int variable, right? That is nothing but gives the square of that x variable, right? Similarly, for the func add, this anonymous method will perform some addition operation and gives the output. How we are going to call this anonymous method, right? We are going to call this anonymous method with the help of instance variable, which is nothing but for the first one, that is the func square. For the second one, the func add. So if you see the func square, how we are going to call, we are just going to write square result is equal to func square, and we are passing parameter value as a 4, and it will go and call this anonymous method, and the output we are going to receive that we have stored into this square result variable, we have printed into the console window. Similarly, we call this second anonymous method with the help of func delegate, right? We pass two parameters value 4 and 5 and gives me output as a 9, and that's what it is getting depicted into the console window as an output, right? A square of 4 is equal to 16, addition of 4 and 5 is nothing but 9, right? Okay, so we have seen how to use this func delegate with anonymous method. Now we are going to focus on func delegate with lambda expression. Yes, we can write the func delegate with lambda expression as well. If you see here, I have defined one func delegate and we have assigned this lambda expression to it. This func square, again, it is nothing but it is just going to accept only one input parameter and return type, right? So we have just write x such that x into x. Basically, this is the way how we write the lambda expression if we are going to accept only one input parameter, right? For the two input parameters, we are just going to write like this: parenthesis x comma y closing parenthesis such that x plus y, right? So this is lambda expression for addition of these two numbers, right? And again, we are just going to call this lambda expression execution with the help of instance name, right? Func square. So func square, we have just passed this value as a 4, and here func add, we have just passed the parameter value as a 4 and 5, and that's what that result got depicted into this output window. A square of 4 is equal to 16, and addition of 4 and 5 is nothing but the 9. So we have seen we can use this func delegate with named method, anonymous method, and as well as with lambda expression. Okay, let's see all those things in action in Visual Studio. Okay, so here we are on Visual Studio. I have created one console application, Func Action Predicate Delegate Demo, as program.cs file. In program.cs file, we have class program. It has one main method, which is nothing but an entry point for this particular application. Okay, I have defined two func delegate, func square and func add. Func square accepts only one input parameter. It has one return type, which is of int type. Okay, and this func add accepts two input parameter, int and also it has return type as a int data type. Okay, so func square, I have assigned a square method to it. If you see the signature of this square method, it accepts only one input parameters and return type is int. So this func square signature and this square method signature matches. So it can reference to it. That's what I have assigned this square method to it. Okay. And I have just called this square method with the help of func delegate instance. Okay, func square, and I have just passed this parameter as a 5. So eventually it is just going to call this square method and gives the output so that I can store into this square result variable. That's what I have stored it, and I'm just printing that variable into this console window. Okay, similarly for the func add, because it is again it is matches signature with this add method, right? And I have passed this 5 and 6 value with the help of this func add instance, right? So it will call this add method, perform addition operation, and gives the output. That is output I'm going to store into this add result variable, and similarly I'm just going to print it into this console window. Okay, so let me execute this program to see the output into the console window. Okay, if you see, the output got appeared into this console window. Square of 5 is equal to 25, 5 plus 6 is equal to 11. So this func delegate demo successfully displayed the output, what we are expected to see into this console window. Okay, let me close this. Okay, just now we have seen how to reference to the named method, right? Like a square and add. Let me do those things. Let me replace with this anonymous method. So let me write it here, remove this square method and write this anonymous method, right? So delegate int x, okay, and then closing. And now I'm just going to write return, and which is because I'm just going to write an anonymous method for a square function, so I need to write x into x, right? X into x and then semicolon. So I have written this. Now similarly for the add method, let me write it, right? Let me copy this return x plus y, okay, and here what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write delegate keyword and then int a, int b. I have given these two variables, and body part I'm just going to write this one, but here I have given this variable name a and b, so let me change it, a and this is b, right? So I have replaced the named method with the anonymous method, and everything remains same. Similar way, I'm just calling, this func square, passing this parameter, right? So I let me comment this because I'm not going to use it further because I have written an anonymous method for that, right? So let me execute this. Okay, I just click the start button. Now it's build started. Okay, build succeeded. So I would be able to see the output in a second into this console window. Yes, still it is processing. Right. So output got appeared into this console window, right? So func delegate demo score of 5 is equal to 25, 5 plus 6 is equal to 11. So expected output, what we have seen with the named method, similar output we are seeing with the help of anonymous method, right? Let me close this. Now, in the same example, let me change this anonymous method to lambda expression. Okay. So let me remove this. Okay. Now I'm just going to write x, sorry, not here, the cursor was there, that's what it went there. Okay, x does that, what I'm going to write, I'm just going to write x into x, right? That's done. So I have written this lambda expression x such that x into x, that will be assigned to this func square delegate, right? And similar way we are just calling. Let me change this func add method as well. Let me remove, let me write two parameters a b, right? And first that is the lambda shine. Then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write a plus b, right? And semicolon. So I have written this lambda expression that will accept two input a and b, perform this addition operation and gives the output. How we are going to receive that output? We are just going to call this lambda expression execution with the help of this func add or func square, right? So that's what I have written. Int square is equal to func square, and I have given this output, I mean parameter is a 5. That's what I just wanted to know, what is the a square value of the 5, right? That's what I'm just going to use this lambda expression to give me output. Okay, so I have written those things. Everything is done. Let me execute this. I just click the start button. Now this build is started, and is going to show me the output in a console window quickly. Okay, wait, I think it's processing. Yes, now the output got appear into this console window, right? We saw the same output, square of 5 is equal to 25, 5 plus 6 is equal to 11, right? Let me close this. So we have seen how we can use this func delegate with the named function, right? And with the anonymous method, and here we have just now seen with the lambda expression. So yes, we can use this func delegate with named method, anonymous method, as well as with lambda expression. Okay, let's move to the next topic. Action delegate. Action delegate is a built-in generic type delegate that makes our delegate code simpler. It can have a minimum of one and a maximum of 16 input parameters and does not allow any out parameter, right? So what does it mean? It means the method that we are going to reference to this action delegate, its return type should be void in simple term. Okay, if you see the syntax, action t1, what does it mean? It means it has only one input parameter. Action t1 t2 with two parameter, action t1 t2 3 with three input parameters, and so on, right? Okay, let's understand it with the help of example. Here we have method print name that accepts a string as an input. Okay, and return type is a void. It just receive this input as a str name and printing into the console window. That's what this print name is doing. Okay, so if you see right hand side, I have defined this action delegate. This action delegate accepts only one input parameter of a string type. Okay, because this action delegate signature and this print name signature matches, right? So I have just assigned this print name to this action delegate, and I'm just calling this print name method with the help of this action delegate instance, right? And we are passing an instance Ravi as a string, and that's what I'm just going to see the output into the console window as a Ravi, because print name, it just print the name, and that's what this output is. So yeah, this is the simple way of demonstration of this action delegate. Okay, so similarly, we can use action delegate with anonymous method and lambda expression. If you see the example, action delegate with anonymous method, here we have defined this action delegate that has only one input parameters, and I have written this anonymous method with the delegate keyword, right? It just print this name that we are receiving as a string as an input parameter, right? And I have just called this anonymous method with the help of this action delegate instance name, which is nothing but action, and then we are just passing as a parameter Ravi. That's what, if you see the output at the right hand side, output is Ravi. Similarly, we can write action delegate with lambda expression. If you see here, I have again defined this action delegate that has only one input parameter, and I have written this lambda expression str name such that, and then in body part I have written this console.writeLine str name, that is nothing but is just going to write name into this console window, right? And I'm just going to execute this lambda expression with the help of this action delegate instance. So action, and then we are just passing a string value as in Ravi, and that's what we are seeing the output as a Ravi, right? So we have seen how we can write action delegate with named method, anonymous method, as well as with lambda expression, right? Okay, let's move to the another topic. It takes one input parameter and a boolean return value. It's very important to understand over here. It's just going to accept only one input parameter, and return type should be boolean only. Okay, if you see the syntax predicate t, here t is a type of the input parameter. Okay, so if you see, I have one method is nothing but each prime number that accepts as in one input which is of int data type, and return type is boolean, right? It performs whether that number is prime number or not. It just give me the true and false value based on its decision, right? Okay, if you see the right hand side, I have defined this predicate delegate that points to the is prime number, because I have this predicate delegate that accepts only int parameter, right? And here is prime also, it's just going to accept only int parameter. So signature matches, right? Here return type is boolean, as we know that predicate is always going to return as a boolean value. So it is just going to accept input parameter as an int, and this is prime number, and I mean both signature are matching. That's what I have assigned this is prime number to this predicate, and I'm just going to call this is prime number and passing this value as a 7 to it with the help of this predicate instance, right? And then whatever the output that I'm going to receive, I'm just going to store into the boolean result as a variable. Okay, and then I'm just printing into the console window. That's what I just passed 7 as a number, and this each prime number process those things and identified this number 7 is nothing but a prime number. So that's what this output is coming as a true. Predicate delegate can also be used with an anonymous method or a lambda expression. Okay. Summary of func action and predicate delegate. Here we are just going to compare in which situation we can go for the func delegate, in which situation we can opt action delegate, and which situation is best fit for the predicate delegate. If you see the first, func delegate it has a minimum 0 and maximum of 16 input parameters and one result parameter. Whereas action delegate a minimum of 1 and maximum of 16 input parameters and does not allow any result parameter. Whereas in predicate delegate, it accepts only one input parameter and a Boolean return type, right? So where there is a requirement where that method particularly returns as a Boolean return data type, okay? So in that case, we can opt this predicate delegate. And action delegate is useful where the return type is void. So let's suppose we are having one method that accepts couple of input parameters and it does not return anything. I mean, its return type is void. So that time we can go for the action delegate. And function delegate, it accepts the input and it has some one output return type, right? So in that situation, we can go for the func delegate. As we have seen, func delegate works well with the named method, anonymous method, and lambda expression. Similarly, action delegate also works well with named method, anonymous method, and lambda expression. Similar goes for the predicate delegate as well. If you see the example for the func delegate, we have written with named method. Func int func add is equal to add, right? So here I have assigned this named method as add method to this func delegate. And we are calling this add method with the help of this func delegate instance, which is nothing but func add, and we are passing parameter 4 and 6, and that's what that output is coming as a 10. And in second, we have written this func delegate with anonymous method. I have replaced this named method here with the anonymous method, and we are just calling this anonymous method with the help of this func delegate instance name itself. Okay, so here we are just passing the same input parameter 4 and 6, and the output is 10. And lambda expression, here we have replaced anonymous method with lambda expression, right? It gives me the output, and that output is going to get printed into this console window, right? In action delegate, I have written this with named method. So get a square, there is a method that calculates a square value and print that value, right? So I have called this get a square method with the help of this action delegate instance, right? With the help of that, I have just calling this action square instance and passing this value as a 5, and it is just giving me output as a 25. Okay, with anonymous method, I have replaced this named method with anonymous method. So this anonymous method accepts input, calculate a square method, and then print into this console window. And we have just called this anonymous method with the help of this action delegate instance, right? And we have passed this value as an input parameter as 5, and that's what this output is coming as 25. Again, here with the lambda expression, we are accepting one input parameter, calculating a square value, and then printing into this console window. And we have called this lambda expression with the help of this action square delegate instance name and passing 5 as an input parameter and seeing the output as a 25, right? Okay, so now we just see this predicate delegate. Here, as we know, this predicate delegate is going to accept only the input parameters and only one, right? So here if you see, it accepting only one int parameter. Okay, and I have assigned each prime number. Each prime number is a named method that accepts only one input variable, which is of int type, and performs logic to identify whether that particular number is prime number or not. right? And gives me the value as in Boolean value. That's what we have assigned this, is prime number to this predicate, because this predicate delegate always return type is Boolean value, and this is prime number is going to give this return value as a Boolean only. So we are just going to call this is prime number with the help of this predicate delegate instance, and that's what we have passed 7. 7 is nothing but a prime number, and that's what it is going to get printed into this console window as a true value, right? Again, we have replaced this is prime number with the help of this delegate method, right? Sorry, delegate. With the help of delegate keyword, I have defined this anonymous method, and in anonymous method we have written the logic to identify prime number and returning the result as a Boolean value, right? So these Boolean value is basically we are going to store into this Boolean result, and then we are printing into the console window. That's what it's coming output as it. With Lambda expression, again we are going to accept one input value performing some prime number identification operation, and we receive the output when we are just going to call this Lambda expression with the help of this predicate instance. We are passing input value as 7 and gives me output as a true, right? So we have seen Func delegate, action delegate, and predicate delegate, in which situation which is the best suit, right? Which is the best option we can use for. Now with this, it brings me to end of my session.